There are a lot of controversial and debatable topics arising from the pandemic. In family law, the usual areas of contention are decisions about a child's welfare, education, and medical care. Lately, the COVID-19 pandemic has weighed in a lot in the area of health and safety. With the advent of protocols on wearing masks, social distancing, and vaccinations, conflicts between divorced or separated parents sharing custody of a child have become commonplace problems in the family courts. Hi, I'm Andre Major, family law attorney, and today I will discuss the different issues that divorced and separated parents are dealing with because of COVID-19. And I'm going to share with you 5 tips to minimize child custody issues between divorced and separated parents. And I say minimize because at the end of the day, if your spouse is unreasonable, and unless you're going to give your spouse or ex-spouse everything he or she wants, you're going to have some disagreements. After all, you got separated or divorced for a reason, right? If you find the video helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel and checking out our other videos. So let's jump into it. What are the issues that parents are facing during the COVID-19 pandemic? Parents now face the additional pressure of striking a balance between the changes in their work and their child's academic setup. They deal with multiple issues, such as minimizing your child's risk of exposure to the virus. Parents may decide to keep the children at home. Deciding whether or not to vaccinate the child, especially after the FDA approved the vaccination of minors last year. Dealing with differences in opinion about the effectiveness or need for COVID vaccines or government mandates for social distancing or mask wearing. In addition, divorced and separated parents face the issue of determining child custody arrangements that would work for their unique situations and schedules while making sure that everyone involved has minimal risk of exposure to the dreaded virus. It's not surprising that these issues lead to conflicts between separated parents, but we need to keep in mind any decision made should always be in the child's best interest. Now, how do we promote child's best interests? We need to acknowledge that they are still at risk for contracting COVID-19 and experiencing mental health complications. Even if you don't think that's true, going to a court with the belief that's not true is not going to help you. The kids may be exposed to family members who have come in contact with COVID-19, become asymptomatic carriers, and pass on the disease. For children whose parents are in the healthcare sector, you need to consider that they are at increased risk of exposure or being carriers of the disease. For children who are moving from one household to another, they may be at greater risk of exposure, and we need to remember that compliance with an existing custody order is required. So you can't just keep your kid at home. How do we minimize child custody issues between divorced or separated parents? Age-old question. But let me share you some tips on how to manage your ex and your children during the COVID-19 pandemic. Tip number 1, stick to social distancing guidelines in your area and talk to your ex-spouse to make sure they are also complying. Doing so will help protect your children from undue exposure. It is even more crucial when children are moving from one household to another regularly. Tip number 2, if possible, get yourself tested regularly or the virus. So get yourself tested for the virus so that you get peace of mind and assurances that you are healthy and you're not exposing your children to the virus. Tip number 3, take note that any modifications or custody changes need to be in writing and should be approved by the court. Failure to stand by the parenting plan and custody schedule could negatively affect your right to custody or visitation. Tip number 4, practice open communication with your ex-spouse whenever a conflict arises. Discuss any issues amicably to the extent possible. I know it's not easy, particularly if your ex-spouse doesn't share your concerns. Maybe you're concerned with COVID-19 and your spouse isn't, or maybe you're not concerned and your spouse is. If you simply can't agree, it may be time to consult and involve a family law attorney. Tip number 5, keep it legal. Due to the new working schedules for essential workers and the risk of exposure, modifying the current parenting plan and custody schedule is not unexpected. If you have plans of moving to another city or state, check whether how this affects the custody agreement. I mean, if you only see the children on weekends, it may not affect it. But if you're 50-50, well, that's a significant change for you and for the parent of your child. And you will definitely need a motion to modify child support or visitation unless your former spouse agrees. Always file for the modification of the custody agreement using proper channels to avoid complications. If your spouse says, don't worry, they will do it, that could be true, or maybe they're lying to you. Don't take the chance. At the very least, have it in writing, but highly recommended to get your attorney involved as quickly as possible with things like this. And look, I get it. It gets expensive if every issue you need to discuss with your attorney. There should be some things you guys should be able to agree to. But let's see what's going on in the world and in the country. I mean, people can't agree that the sky is blue. So if you need help, reach out. And there you have it. 5 tips to avoid jeopardizing your child custody arrangement. Stick to social distancing guidelines. Get yourself tested regularly. Make sure all modifications to your custody are done in writing. Communicate openly with your ex. Keep everything legal. And might as well consult a family law attorney to be sure. If you have questions about what else to do when faced with child custody issues, leave a note in the comment section, and I'll do my best to respond to your query. I do get a lot of messages and comments, so if you want immediate answers and find out right now, you can go ahead and schedule a consultation through my website, andresmeckerlaw.com. Don't worry, if you misspell it, you'll still find me. If you learned a lot from this video, feel free to like and share it with other people who may be undergoing similar challenges in their child custody case. And if you have any future ideas or any ideas of future videos, and you'd like me to talk about a particular issue, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. You can call us today if you want to discuss your case or need help on your child custody case, visitation agreements, or even your impending divorce. We'll let you know if and how we can help. Remember, every case is different, and we won't take your money if we can't help you. Until next time, stay healthy and be safe.